Hello and welcome to another episode of IBI On Site, and after weeks of working through the minor league system, hitting places twice and 3 times, we've finally hit the big time here with the Cleveland Indians at Progressive Field, and I hope you're ready for a big league show because we've got one for you. Without any further ado, let's get down to business. All right, I'm now joined by Zack Meisel of Cleveland.com. It's an honor to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
Can't complain. I want to complain about the humidity and the heat, but then I think about what it's going to be like 6 months from now, and I'll shut up.
Exactly. We're going to get negative temperatures, I'm sure, in Ohio, but this team is hot right now, just like the weather. I mean, they've won their last 3 straight, looking for their 4th, and they've won 10 straight at home. What's been the catalyst for the winning at home right here?
I don't know that there is anything to it. I think Terry Francona, we've asked him time and time again. He won't admit that there's anything, but I think there is something to be said for being comfortable, being able to be on a schedule where you know you can drive yourself to the ballpark, you can go home and sleep in your own bed, and there's a comfort there that you don't get on the road. And you might not think it makes much of a difference, but maybe it does. I mean, how else would you explain 10 straight, best home record in the league, and meanwhile on the road they've really struggled. So maybe there's nothing to it, but there might be a little bit of comfort factor.
Right, and somebody that's getting comfortable at the plate right now, speaking of comfort, is Carlos Santana. He struggled a lot in the early going. Now he's starting to heat up, hitting in the 300s the past since he got off the DL with the concussion. What has he been doing that you've seen that's really helped him to get to this point?
I think the time he had off, about 10 days when he had a concussion, really helped. You know, step away, get away from the game, get out of the clubhouse, and just relax. Think about what you need to improve at the plate, and instead of going up there and seeing your batting average on the scoreboard and trying to get 4 hits in 1 at bat, compartmentalize what you've been doing, take the time to figure out how to attack your weaknesses, and I think that really helped him. Sometimes it's a snowball effect, and you get in a slump and it just all starts rolling downhill, and it just compounds, and it's really tough to get out of. And sometimes the best thing, we saw with Nick Swisher too, when he went on the DL, sometimes the best thing is just take a step back, get away from the game, and then basically start from scratch.
Well, there was a guy who took a step back, but it wasn't his own call. It was Terry Francona's call, and that was Lonnie Chisenhall. He sat out for that game against John Lester, and since he hasn't gotten a hit. Is there any validity to that, to the fact that he, missing that game, has started this free fall?
There shouldn't be. It's tough, and it's nothing that anyone would ever admit, because a player doesn't want to rat out his manager, and a manager doesn't want to, admit to his own mistakes. But there is something to be said. I mean, he was as hot as any hitter could possibly be for about 5 games on that road trip, and then they get to Boston, and he's sitting. And I don't know if maybe in his mind he thought he'd be playing every single day, and maybe that's why he's struggled since. But from his standpoint, there shouldn't be an excuse of I'm not hitting because I had this day off. So he wasn't going to hit 400 all season, and I think the Indians are still pretty happy to have him in that lineup hitting 5th every day, no matter what.
Just a little bit of a regression to the mean, I guess you could say, in terms of his average. But there's another guy, and last night he got hurt. He's really been helping this club, Michael Brantley. We haven't heard anything right as of this point as to what he's
actually in the starting lineup today.
Okay, so Michael Brantley is back. He's doing well. What does he bring to this team with first of all, his offense, but second of all, he's made some pretty good plays over there in left field?
It helps the pitching staff, too. I mean, instead of, we saw with David Ortiz try to stretch it into a double, well, he's going to throw you out. And now I think when you do hit a ball his direction, you're rounding first base, you've got to think twice, because he's got that arm. He's been Gold Glove worthy. He's been offensively near the top of the league in batting average, home runs, RBIs, on-base percentage. He's a 5-tool player. I don't know that the Indians ever expected he'd develop into this kind of player when they traded for him when he was with Milwaukee. He's blossomed, and what's most important for this team is he did it at a time when everyone else was struggling. He was the one cog in the lineup that was consistent every day, and that's why he's batting 3rd, and that's why I think if you're going to pick anyone to represent this team at the All-Star game, it's got to be Michael Brantley.
From player to be named later to All-Star. We'll see in a couple weeks if that's going to come to fruition. But the final guy I want to get to is a guy who said something last night that I found really interesting. Trevor Bauer said that he could pitch 150 pitches, 200 pitches, whatever. How do you even go about doing that? I mean, what is his thought process when he goes on the mound?
He's a nut. I mean, he studies pitching. He dreams about pitching. He eats, sleeps, and breathes pitching, and he's been that way for a long time, I think. And You've seen him when he's warming up before he starts. He's throwing from 300 feet, and he's doing all these weird arm motions and everything. So he knows his body better than anyone else, and he was still throwing 96 miles an hour when he was at 115, 120 pitches. So I don't doubt that he has that kind of durability. I don't know that anyone, especially in the Indians organization, ever wants to see him throw 150 or 200 pitches, but he seems to know his mechanics and what it takes to still be effective deep into a game, and that's a rare skill to have.
And finally, right now the Indians stand at a game above 500. Are they going to go in the right direction, or are they going to falter back to their old ways? What do you think?
I kind of have stopped myself from projecting that, because every time they win 4 or 5 in a row and I say, oh, here they are, the real Indians are here, they go and lose 4 or 5 in a row. And every time I want to write them off after they lose 4 or 5 in a row, they win 4 or 5 in a row. So I think this is just a streaky team. I think they are better than a 500 team. I think they're more like what they've shown the last few days than what they showed, say, in Kansas City. But they are so tough to predict just because they have a lot of streaky hitters. They have a really shaky starting rotation, and they have a bullpen that is very good but very worn. So I don't know.
All right, well, he's going to leave us on a bit of a questionable note, but thank you so much again for coming on. We really appreciate it, and look for Zach's work on Cleveland.com. Have a good one, man.
Thanks, Hayden. Appreciate it. Go Bucks, right?
Ohio State ties here at Progressive Field. We'll be right back with more on IBI On Site.
Hi, this is Tony Lastoria from Indians Baseball Insider. The new 2014 Cleveland Indians Baseball Insider Top 100 Prospects and More book is now available at IndiansBaseballInsider.com, Amazon.com, and also local retail outlets at the Lake County Captains and the Mahoning Valley Scrappers team store.
All right, I'm back and now joined by the Indians pitching coach, Mr. Mickey Callaway. It's a little hot today, but I'm sure you're enjoying it.
Yeah, it's always good when you finally get that warm weather and everybody can stay loose, and stretching's not as much of an issue, and injuries and stuff like that. So we're welcoming the warm weather, that's for sure.
Now, one thing I wanted to talk to you about is just the overall performance of your pitching staff this year. What do you think has been the grade you would give to your team at this point?
I think we're at a B right now. I like it when we get on a roll and we show some really good things. Our strikeouts are up. I'd like to see us improve our walk rate a little bit, but when we get on a good roll, we got great arms, we got guys with great stuff, and we're just looking for that consistency. And that's something you always look for in baseball is consistency. It's such a long year and such a grind that that can be the most elusive thing.
Now, one of the things that's really kind of harmed your bullpen is, your pitching staff this year has been injuries. Zack Meisel is looking to come back on Thursday. We actually caught up with him in Lake County, seemed to be getting the ball down, which is one of his biggest things. Is that something you're trying to tell him, and is that something he's going to be able to do when he gets back to the major league level? Yeah,
that was the whole approach when he was on his rehab assignment, is to really command the ball down. When he was going good early in the year, that's what he did the best, and we saw that in his last couple outings, so we feel like he's he's in a pretty good spot coming back, so we're looking forward to see what he can do Thursday.
All right, and another guy who pitched last night, and I know we talked about this before we got on camera, Trevor Bauer saying he could throw 100, 200 pitches. What do you think about the mentality of limiting these pitches to these guys right now?
No, I think it's something that we have the responsibility that we need to do. I'm glad that he works towards a goal that allows him to throw 200 pitches if he could. I don't think it's probably very healthy to go out there and do that, but it's great that he prepares for that, and his work ethic is tremendous, and I love the way he works in between starts. Tito and I have a responsibility to protect the guys, and that's what we're going to do in the end. But the way he goes about his business and prepares to throw 200, I'm glad he does that.
And speaking of guys throwing a lot of pitches, your bullpen right now is pretty taxed. The top 3 guys in the major leagues in terms of appearances. How do you keep them fresh, and what's made them so consistent thus far?
I think their routines in between. They do a really good job of preparing every day. Making sure that they have a quality catch game, a good weight room routine. And then they get in the training room when they need to get treatment. So they do a really good job to prepare and do some preventative stuff to keep them healthy. And it just so happens that so far in this season that we've had some really close games, and those guys have pitched a lot. Those are our main 3 guys, and they're going to pitch when we have close games. So, hopefully we can get the game spread out a little bit more when we're winning and give them a little break. But they're doing a tremendous job of staying prepared.
And those top 3 guys are getting helped out by guys like Carlos Carrasco, John Axford. How have they transformed their games to, very different roles than they started at the beginning of the year?
Yeah, I mean, that's really helped. I think we got some very unselfish guys that don't have huge egos, and they'll pitch whenever you want them to. And that's what you want. You want a team that picks each other up, and, those guys did a great job of that last night when those other guys were down, and that's what you look for, and that's what winning teams do.
All right, and finally, to get these guys to the next, or to keep them going throughout this season, what are you looking for to get them, continue this trend of good pitching?
That consistency that we're talking about. We want them to pound the zone, get ahead, and throw the ball over the plate. We've got good enough stuff, indicated by our strikeout rate, that we just need to throw the ball over and we're going to have success.
All right, well, there you have it. Thanks again to Mr. Mickey Callaway, Indians pitching coach. We'll be right back with more on IBI On Site.
This is IBI's Jim Piascik, encouraging you to check out my weekly piece, The War Room. The War Room runs every Sunday, bringing you the kind of advanced stats for Cleveland's minor leaguers you can't find anywhere else. So please join me each Sunday, and let me take you into the War Room.
And welcome back to IBI On Site. I now have the distinct pleasure of being joined by Jay Birdman himself, Jim Berdysz from Indians Baseball Insider. Am I pronouncing that right?
Berdysz.
Okay, Jim Berdysz from Indians Baseball Insider, Indians beat reporter, and you just got a chance to talk to Brad Zimmer and Justice Sheffield real quick. What were your impressions of them?
I thought both players just seemed, down-to-earth guys. They can kind of tell they're taking it all in. This is a surreal experience for them. But it's pretty interesting just about Justice Sheffield. He noted that the pitcher that he models his game after is David Price. So I thought that was interesting. Kind of looks like him, being a lefty too. So only good things that come for them in the future.
Right. And another kind of big news here at the ballpark today: Michael Brantley was originally apparently in the starting lineup. He's now not in the starting lineup with the concussion. What is his loss? What could that mean for this team right now?
It could be devastating. I mean, this is a guy that has been leading this team the entire year so far with clutch hits, RBI, even his defense ability in left field too. So we'll see what transpire over the next few games.
Now the offense, with runners in scoring position, has been pretty abysmal for this Indians team. Why do you think that is? Why can't they? Is it pressure? What is it?
It could be pressure. I mean, the thing is they really haven't clicked on all cylinders. You look at a guy like Carlos Santana. Here's a guy that coming in, being your cleanup hitter early on in the season. And he hasn't proven that over the long haul of the season so far. But guys have stepped up in his role. David Murphy's been a guy. Obviously, Lonnie Chisenhall's been, on fire. Here's a guy that hitting 365. Jack Hanahan was, beat him out 2 years ago to play third base. You never would have thought that. But I just think they haven't connected on all cylinders yet, just because the main contributors like Swisher, like Santana, haven't been able to step it up. They haven't. But that being said, there have been guys that have stepped up in their place. But as the weather, is getting hotter, they've been playing well here. Maybe it's only a matter of time.
Right, and a guy that's been heating up a little bit is Carlos Santana, but a guy that's staying the same is Swisher. How does he get it back to where he's, the $54 million man again?
That's the thing, I guess money talks, but we'll see in the batter's box, and that really hasn't. But no, I think he's a proven hitter. At the end of the day, he's a veteran switch hitter. You got to have him in a lineup being a switch hitter at the end of the day, no matter. Yeah, the money for sure, but being a switch hitter, he's got to be in the lineup. You just got to hopefully figures it out. You only can do, practice makes perfect, I guess, and saying that about Swisher is an understatement. So he'll get the job done, I think, by the end of the year.
Now, on the contrary, there are a lot of things going on with the pitching staff right now. A lot of guys getting hurt, a lot of guys, coming back from injury. But overall, they've been a pretty good group. But they've been struggling a little bit lately. Haven't gotten to 6 innings much. What do you think is the cause of their struggles on the mound right now?
I mean, you look at the front man, Justin Masterson. I mean, in the contract year, you'd kind of hope he'd kind of sustain that, be the leader everybody looks up to in the rotation to kind of follow suit. Guys been talking. They after each start they try to one up each other. But Kluber's been stepped in Masters' place. You can say. Even McAllister struggled. I know he's coming back this week from injury. We'll see how he fares. But they have gotten good pitching from Trevor Bauer and Josh Tomlin. Been impressed with those two guys. You know, Tomlin coming off Tommy John surgery, Bauer being a young kid, finally kind of getting that, you know, that niche to, you know, that he's consistent and you know, through a quality start. Actually 4 at Progressive Field, but 4 of his quality starts here at Progressive Field. So maybe he just likes the home cooking, you know, like the team. But you know, I think Masterson, you know, for the long haul, he's Justin Masterson. I mean, you in a contract, you would obviously think, you know, he turns it around. But you know, maybe Kluber's going to be that guy this year. I know another guy. I mean, I'm just kind of rambling on with the starting rotation, but Danny Salazar. I mean, this is a club that, you know, looked to him. He started a playoff game, you know, and it's been a disappointment. But in a sense, you know, other guys have stepped up in his role, so it's been okay.
Now the bullpen, we talked about this with Zack Meisel a little bit earlier. The bullpen has been one of the most consistent in the league. How are they going to be able to, with so many guys pitching so many innings, how are they going to be able to sustain it?
That's a $1 million question, you could say. I mean, Francona, you would think, knows what he's doing, 2-time World Series champion manager. But at the end of the day, you know, Mark Zipchinski, Cody Allen, and Brian Shaw, those guys have been, you know, leading this you know, pitching out a lot of innings from the start here, even before the All-Star break. But you know, Carlos Carrasco could be a guy to look to, you know, as a relief. You know, we've seen, you know, he's been dominating in that bullpen role. I mean, I don't know whether he'd be a setup closer type guy. Allen's, you know, on the shelf because he seems to pitch a lot. But you know, Carrasco, obviously, with Axford being a struggle and a kind of disappointment this year, could be a guy to lean on going forward, I think, with this team.
All right, and finally, we asked Zack Meisel as well as Lonnie Chisenhall about what this team's prospects are in the near future. Are they going to push towards or past 500? Or are they going to linger around that 500 mark as they have for the majority of the season? I
think, just like last year, this team can kind of get hot at any chance. But you know, they've been streaky so far. But you kind of think, you know, with the summer heat, you know, heating up and this home cooking, been what it is, you know, 10-game home winning streak so far. But I think it's only a matter of time before they push it over the top like last year. And we've seen, you know, with Detroit struggling too, I think this team is destined for the postseason in the long run, you would hope. I know I kind of predicted that from the start, obviously. But, yeah, it all depends. You know, we got a lot of matchups. They got a lot of matchups with Detroit coming up. But, I mean, that's all you can base it on. Is you got to win your Central Division opponents first, and then I'll take care of business after that.
All right, well, there you have it. Jay Birdman saying the Indians are getting hot with the weather. We'll see about that. But, Jay, thanks so much for coming on. I keep calling you Jay. I don't know why. Jim, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, when we get back, we'll have more for you from IBI On Site.
This is your host, Hayden Grove, inviting you to catch all of the episodes of IBI On Site at IndiansBaseballInsider.com. I've been to every Indians affiliate in Ohio, giving you insight into what's going on in the Indians system, and will continue to do so throughout this summer. Be sure to look out for more episodes in the coming weeks.
All right, and welcome back to IBI On Site. I'm now joined by one of the hottest hitters in baseball right now, Lonnie Chisenhall. How does it feel to have such a meteoric rise, I guess you could say?
You know, it's been a neat ride. You know, it's been a long road to get here, and you know, I was fortunate enough to get off to a hot start, and you know, we've been on a nice run right here. You know, I've been able to swing the bat well, and we just trickled over 500 last night. So I mean, it's been a great ride, especially the past month.
Now, you said that you've got a lot more confident this year, just hitting the ball over the field. Has anything changed in your approach when you get to the plate?
Yeah, I mean, in the past, you know, I kind of profiled myself out of what, you know, I do naturally, which is, you know, just go up there and you just try to get a hit. And, you know, in the past, you know, I've gone up and tried to do too much, maybe, you know, try to hit too many home runs and be over-aggressive and get out of, you know, my own game plan. So this year I've kind of just kept it simple, and, you know, you're just trying to get on first base, you know, get a single, you know, work a good at bat, and, you know, if we're in a situation, you know, make sure you get that taken care of.
Now, how much does confidence help you when you're at the plate? Because approach is one thing, but confidence maybe propels you to that next level.
Absolutely. You know, getting off to a pretty good start this year, definitely, you know, confidence kind of snowballs. You know, you start hitting the bat well, you start believing in yourself a little more, and, you know, things start to happen for you. You know, balls start to drop, you start to, you know, maybe get an infield single here or there, and, you know, it has a lot to do with confidence. You know, everybody up here can play and play at a high level, and, you know, it's just about getting on, you know, good runs and, you know, believing in yourself and, you know, keeping that feeling going for a long time.
Now, admittedly, lately you've been struggling a little bit over 13, but you're going to get back there. How are you going to do it?
continuing to work hard. I felt like, maybe in Boston I wasn't having the best at-bats, and, last night I thought I had 3 good at-bats. It happens just like you go, 8 for 10, you also go 0 for 10. So, you just got to continue, like you said, to have that confidence and, believe in the work that you're doing and continuing to work hard, and BP before the games. And, when the game comes, just, throw it all out there and see what happens. Just continue to play hard and, put yourself in good situations.
Now, you said that this team is, trickled over 500. When's it going to push over 500? Is it ever going to get to that point where it's, not back and forth, but you're really just going forward?
That's what I'm hoping for. We got a good chance to do it this series. This homestand, we got the Angels in town, and then we have Detroit. Detroit's going to be a big series. It's always a big series for us. We're usually, they're usually in first place or a few games ahead of us, and they gave us a hard time last year. So, we have a really important homestand right now. We've been playing well at home, and we got some big games to come up and do something. Last year we made a late run. We were, like I said, around 500 all year long, made that late run in September, and it worked out for the best. And, this year it'd be great to, make that run here in June or, early July.
Now, before the game today, you were taking ground balls right there, and you've worked a lot on your glove. Was it hard to get back to, because at the beginning of the year you were kind of playing here and there, is it kind of hard to get back into a defensive groove as well as an offensive groove?
It does. Defense is all about confidence too. Defense is something that should never struggle. So, you got to go out there and, no matter what situation you're in, if you're playing all over the place, you give it whatever you got that night. And, I had a few hiccups over there so far. Third base is a tough position, and you got to continue to work at it. You're never getting easy hops or easy plays over there, and it's just about, doing everything you can to help your pitcher out, help your team out.
Now, finally, what would it mean for Lonnie Chisenhall, Lonnie Baseball, to be an All-Star?
Oh, my, I can't even think of the words to describe it right now. It'd be amazing, unbelievable. I'd have such a long list of people, to thank and be proud of, and, it'd be a huge accomplishment for me. Like I said, it's been a long road to get here, and, I feel like I put in the most work I ever had this year, and it'd just be an unbelievable thing for me and, my family to experience, and, even for Cleveland to, put as many guys as they can on that All-Star team.
Now, real quick, Lonnie Baseball, how was the name kind of, do you like it?
I usually don't get to pick your nicknames. I like it. It has good, connotations with it. It's a positive. You take away, everything you can from the positives, and it's a good thing going around Cleveland right now. Anything positive that the fans can root for or get behind, I'm all for. And if Lonnie Baseball sticks, it sticks. I'd love for it to be around for a while.
As long as we don't find you on a swan, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks again for coming on, and best of luck going forward.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode of IBI On Site. It's been an absolute blast here at Progressive Field with the Indians, and we hope to get back here at some point through the rest of the summer. We'll see about that. Until then, I'm Hayden Grove. We'll catch you next time.